Hello guys, my name is Anna and I'm a Ukrainian, and I have decided I will vlog daily from my country, Ukraine, since the start of this awful war with Russia. And in my daily videos, I try to update you on the important real-life situations in Ukraine, and of course, I'm always glad to answer your questions and to clarify some facts from our background or our history. And today I want to speak a little bit about Russian sanctions because I know many of you follow them, and I was extremely active following the reaction of Russian society at the very beginning of this war. But today I have decided to name this vlog with actually a question or a statement: why aren't the sanctions working? Well, I have to agree they work, but to a very, very low degree, and definitely they did not stop this war. From what I understand, at the beginning, these packages of sanctions were meant either to prevent Russian war in Ukraine or to stop it quickly after the beginning. But now we have more than 100 days of Russian war in Ukraine, and it doesn't seem to stop because of sanctions. The only reason that I believe can stop Russians here is the strength of Ukrainian armed forces and, of course, the support and the weapons that our allies provide us with. So, I know that many of you watch interviews with Russian citizens, follow Russian bloggers, and try to figure out how these sanctions work in Russian society and how they change the attitudes of people to the war in Ukraine, and not much actually changes. And now I will try to explain how I see it and why aren't sanctions working the way they should. Well, the very first question is, can you give me any example of a full-scale war started by a large country that had a past of empires and that sanctions stopped this? No, I don't have any examples of wars that were stopped by sanctions. I cannot think of such. Maybe you have. Well, please let me know. Then the very next thing is that Russia is a very totalitarian society, and sanctions work well with people who live in a democratic world. I know that many democracies are different all over the world, and you cannot compare Ukrainian democracy to American democracy, French or Italian, but all of them share respect to human dignity, life, freedom of speech, and there are lots of basic needs that we consider important. And I do know that when problems occur in our society, we often go out on the streets, we contact our politicians, we contact local councils, and somehow we try to demonstrate that we don't like this kind of living. And high standards of living is one of the reasons why we want to join the European Union, why we want to take experience of our partners in the United Kingdom or in the United States, because actually we want to live better. And I think it's a totally normal thing. Like, for every person, for every family, it's okay to want to earn more, to want to travel more, to eat better, to take better care of your health. I'm not saying that money and these things have to be central in your life, but I think it's totally healthy to live and to try to live a better life. Like, parents want their children to live better life, and we compare, for example, when we compare ourselves with the conditions our grandparents lived, they have to be better. So this urge, this desire to live in a better environment, with more money, to be able to eat better and to travel better, it's all very common for democratic countries, and it's common for Ukrainian society. This is what we want. And Russians, they live in a totalitarian country, and very often they think that sacrificing, suffering is a part of normal living. And very often when I hear Russians speak about West, and many people even in Ukraine who how can I say it, who like when you catch a virus, who were infected by Soviet propaganda and who had nostalgia for Soviet Union, they often depicted this desire to live better, to dress better, as something very negative, that you are very much into money, but it's not. And Russians who always depict West as something negative, they only play on the sanctions and their people live in bad conditions. And especially if we think about small towns and villages of Russia, those of you who travel, you see that they lack normal roads, asphalt, and many Russian orcs who loot on the territory of Ukraine, they are surprised that we have asphalt on the roads in the villages, or we have electricity, or they steal like washing machines and other things, and they want to bring them in their tanks back to Russia. This only demonstrates that they are very, very poor. Many of them, like I don't know, there are different percentages that I don't want to manipulate, but many people don't have toilets at home. And when you think about this level of poverty, do you think that these people are greatly influenced by the absence of Bershka, Zara, or McDonald's? They don't buy cola because it's expensive for them. And those vloggers, Russian vloggers who demonstrate empty shelves and closed shops, they are just a small percentage of Russian society. And for many Russians, it's totally okay. They don't even know about the existence of such brands, and they don't feel it. And like, I have heard about those depressive regions where people earn really small money, and a normal thing for them is like to drink 2 or 3 days after they receive the salary and then to continue surviving or something like that. So in a democratic world, and that's what I'm actually afraid of, and I come across these messages in some of your emails and some of your comments, that like the prices for gas is rising, and as a result, or the prices for petrol is rising, and as a result we won't be able to travel as we want, or some things we will lack, like we will buy less product that we like, and it's a problem. And it's normal because people want to live normal life, and people don't live this kind of life in Russia. And they think that like they don't buy, they don't travel, so they don't feel they lack something. They got used to that. And when they hear others saying that we don't like this kind of life, we don't like these limitations, once again they describe West as weak. Because like, oh, you cannot buy the milk you like and you are already angry. And I think it's okay to want something better, but Russians don't think that way. That's why suffering because of poverty, suffering because of sanctions, suffering because of the strong dictator with an iron fist, it's totally okay for them and a part of their everyday life. Also in Ukraine, we very attentively follow the currency rate, and because like many people travel to the EU, many people receive salaries with US dollars, and typically when we see some changes in this currency rate, we overreact and we start buying or selling dollars. And the Russian economy is less connected, it's closed, it's more closed as a post-Soviet type of country, and as a result they are not that much connected to dollar. And you know, back in the US time it was pretty difficult to buy dollars, and I still remember when I was traveling to Belarus once, it was at the middle of 2000s, like 2010 or something, and it was very problematic to buy dollars there. You had to show your passport and everything, and so they are not that much connected to the currency rate, and the government, they can manipulate, and just like people won't notice that sanctions are working. Another thing is that it is we who were not prepared for this war, because we did not believe that full-scale war is possible with no particular reason in the heart of Europe. But Russians were preparing, and I believe they were also preparing for the sanctions, and they were backing up their economy and also developing a network of collaborators. And I purposefully use the word collaboration because it's often connected with Nazi regime, not like cooperation, but collaboration. And they still have lots of people they collaborate with in the EU, in top institutions in the world. And they try to influence via these people the decisions that are made concerning Ukraine, concerning the support of Ukraine, and trying to stop this war on the Russian conditions, not with the Ukrainian and democratic victory. And also rich people who can be influenced by the sanctions, I believe many of them were also prepared. Many of them have double citizenships, and many of you also mentioned that in comments, and I totally agree with you that they describe West as a very negative place, as a rotten place and lost place, and at the same time they buy houses, educate children, and many of their children actually work in top European institutions. So when we think about sanctions like that, sanctions are really strong and they help a lot, and in the long run I think they will destroy Russian economy, but in the long run. And every day hundreds of people, hundreds of Ukrainians die because of the presence of Russian soldiers in Ukraine and their actions. And at the same time, if similar sanctions, were applied to any other democratic country, including Ukraine, our people would definitely react very quickly, would definitely call for the government, need the reaction. Maybe we would have a revolution, but in Russia it doesn't work like that, because they are very poor, they are very big, and in this lost villages and towns, people don't follow the events, they don't follow the currency rate, they don't notice that Zara is no more sold, and they don't notice the presence of these international companies because they have never been in their depressive regions. And also they like this, they were brought up in that totalitarian atmosphere when Western countries are described as enemies, and they were prepared to suffer to win this war. And that's why in general I have stopped following the reaction on sanctions that closely, because I realize they are important and Ukrainians are really grateful for these packages, but still many countries in Europe are also not very do not demonstrate solidarity in these decisions, because some of the strongest sanctions, considering gas, oil, natural resources, or SWIFT for some central Russian banks, are not accepted because many European businesses will suffer, and Russians also play on that. So in general, from one point of view, sanctions are really important, but they don't work the way we want them. They don't stop this war. They simply weaken the economy, and but at the same time, Russians are prepared to continue, and they like suffering somehow. I don't know what's wrong with them, but the society in general likes suffering. And this is the sort that I don't have an answer to, because when you think about various totalitarian regimes, they do not survive for so long. And in Russia, they survive, they substitute each other, but they continue living in that doom kind of gulag style society. Anyway, thank you for your support. Thank you for becoming my patrons. Buy me coffee. Thank you for the conversations that we have, and I do value the level of that conversations that we have. And I think that the community of people who watch my vlogs make me really proud, because this is this is not like a primitive kind of contact for the sake of views, but this is a truly important conversation that provides me with necessary information also for my countrymen. So thank you for support. Thank you for liking this videos. Your subscriptions are extremely valuable, as they give me a platform for spreading more information about Ukraine. And of course, thank you for being with Ukraine and standing with us in these difficult times where we have to win. Slava Ukraini!